Welcome to this video setting out some important tips for approaching your coursework. My name is Dr. Louise Ford and I lecture in criminal law, evidence and sentencing and penology.
Hello, my name is Dr. Pamela Liga and I'm a Senior Lecturer of Corporate and Finance Law at Brunel Law School.
Hello, I'm Stelios Andriadakis. I'm a reader in Corporate and Financial Law. I'm teaching company law in the final year of the LLB and I'm also the Director of Postgraduate Programs and the LLM in the Law School.
Hello, I'm Dr. Hayley Bosher. I'm a Senior Lecturer in Intellectual Property Law.
Full information about your assessments are available in the Law Student Assessment Handbook, which is available on Brightspace. So do make sure you go over this, including the marking criteria in full. And remember, if you need further help or support with your academic work, this can be accessed through Ask Brunel.
When you are writing an essay, the first thing that you need to do is read the question carefully. It's very important to identify what the question is about, the legal issue, and also start making a plan on how you will answer the question in your essay.
Make sure that you identify the specific question that the coursework is asking you. It's unlikely that it will be a general question, so you don't talk about the topic as a whole, you talk about only the specific question that's being asked.
When preparing for your essay, it's very important to review your notes from the lectures and the seminars, because we are not going to ask you something that we haven't covered in the classroom, and also it's important to see what particular angle we are asking you to focus on in your essay.
Secondly, do make sure that you do some independent research. So we want you to read other useful scholarly sources and you should try to read as much as possible. This practically means that you need to go beyond the material that has been provided to you in the lectures and seminars. Refer to your reading list and identify articles or even other sources that might be useful and relevant to your coursework.
When you're doing your coursework, you do need to do independent research and reading, but make sure that you are not relying on unscholarly online sources. These are things like blogs, opinion pieces, newspaper articles. Instead, make sure that you are conducting your research through the Brunel Library website, and make sure that you are using peer-reviewed academic journal articles and books rather than textbooks or these unscholarly sources.
When doing research, the starting point is the module's textbook. You can use this to get some basic idea, some basic information about the topic of the coursework. Then the real research happens through the library website. In Westlaw and LexisNexis, you can use keywords to identify articles and other material which you can use to enhance your opinions, your arguments, and make your essay more critical.
Do start your reading early. Take notes of what the article that you are reading is about and note the citation of that article so you can include it both in the footnotes and in the bibliography.
Make sure you get started on your coursework early. Students often say that they wish they'd had more time, so as soon as you get the coursework question, make a start.
Do make sure that you are directly addressing the specific question you are being asked. So refer to that question throughout your assignment, starting from the introduction, in the main body and in the conclusion as well. Support your main arguments with evidence that is drawn from the relevant literature and the reading throughout your assignment.
Try not to stray too far off topic. For each point you're making, try to link it directly back to the question that you've been asked. This will help you to make sure that all of the points you're making are relevant to the central question.
Make sure you have a plan or an outline before you get started. This will help you with a smooth structure and to keep you on topic.
When you are writing your introduction, remember that it doesn't have to be very long. Instead, it has to be very concise and specific. You don't need to include generic background information and general comments. It's better to mention the topic of the essay, the question that you are going to answer, and the structure of the essay, in order to give the idea to the reader on how you are planning to go about your essay.
In the body of your essay, Do identify the key legal sources which are relevant to the topic in question. So this includes statutory provisions and of course the relevant case law. Please make sure that you explain all these provisions clearly and of course explain the relevance of all these provisions to the topic in question.
When you're writing your coursework, you need to provide evidence for the points you're making. Make sure that you understand the difference between primary and secondary legal sources and aim to use a mixture of the two.
Although you will need to describe the law, it's not enough to just be descriptive. You need to go beyond that and engage in critical discussion.
Do identify both sides of the argument or legal question that you've been asked to discuss. You want to move from simply describing the law to analysing it. So, you should look at the relative strengths and weaknesses of each side of the debate. Compare the two. Which argument do you find most convincing? You could also ask yourself if any problems have been identified with a particular aspect of the law, or whether any suggestions have been made for law reform.
In the conclusion, remember not to include new information. All the key information, arguments, recommendations, suggestions, your answer needs to be in the main body of the essay. Therefore, the conclusion should be short, like the introduction, and should include a summary of the main points and main arguments that you made in the essay.
Don't assume that your reader will understand all the points that you develop throughout your assignment, so please make sure that you explain clearly every single point that you make.
Remember that when you're writing the coursework, you need to imagine that the reader is someone who knows nothing about the topic, so you have to use clear language. Imagine that you have to walk the reader with you through the coursework structure, so you're constantly explaining what you're going to be doing and why you're doing it.
It's important to write using paragraphs and use one paragraph for every point that you want to make. One point, one paragraph. Next point, next paragraph. Also, the paragraphs should be connected with the previous ones and the next ones so that your arguments flow well and the reader can understand your line of thought.
Try to finish your coursework a couple of days before you're due to submit. This will allow you to take a short break and then come back and reread it with fresh eyes before you submit. This should help you spot anything that's unclear or that might need further explanation. Finally, before you submit, do make sure that you proofread your coursework for errors in spelling, grammar and sentence construction.
Be careful that your work won't raise any plagiarism concerns. It's very important to cite correctly your work, and if you are uncertain and you need further guidance, there's support available through the library. There is also a module on Brightspace which is available for you regarding plagiarism, and that is called Understanding and Avoiding Plagiarism.
Do make sure that you have referenced all the different sources that you have used for your essay. We are using the OSCOLA referencing guide, so it's extremely important that you are following those rules both in the footnotes and the bibliography of your essay.
When you receive your grades, make sure to read carefully the feedback that's provided for you. This will help you improve for next time.
The very best of luck with your submissions!